Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Let's start out today's video. We're going to be ranking all 95 brawlers in the game right now. Well, there's 94 currently, but I'm going to include Mina because she'll be out pretty soon. So going to be putting them from F tier all the way up to S tier. Going to be putting them in their tier list. So most of them I tried to organize in terms of strengths, even within their particular tier. But I will be off with a couple because just so many brawlers, and it's like impossible to put them in the exact correct position. So first and foremost, let's just start off in the F tier. So there's quite a few F tier brawlers in this meta now, and the first one's going to be Rosa. So Rosa just really lacks the range. Her hype charge isn't good anymore. There's just too many brawlers that have better hypercharges and just feed off her. Same goes with Jessie, since like a hypercharge just doesn't really do anything. She doesn't deal enough damage to keep up with the meta. And I don't remember the last time I seen Jessie being used in competitive. Same goes with Colt as well. Really falling off in the meta. This is thanks to his hypercharge just not being good enough. His shots just aren't as rewarding to hit as other brawlers. And he's not even good in the heist meta anymore. So where is Colt even good in? Same goes with Edgar as well. All of these brawlers just falling off dramatically. And Edgar's the same. It's really hard to even get kills with Edgar right now with all of the damage buffs going on, and he's only really good to directly counter throwers in heist, and even outside of that, I think for the casual play base, everyone thinks Edgar's good for whatever reason, but even his win rates are probably the worst. I think they are the worst inside of the game, so he's terrible right now. And then lastly in the F tier, I went with Sam. So Sam, he's got potential with his hypercharge, but do you even get his hypercharge? That is the thing. Without his hypercharge, he just gets picked on. He's just, with all of these hypercharges in the game now, like before hypercharges were released, you could always outplay people with Sam. You can't do that anymore. So now I'm going to be moving on to your D tier brawlers. So these D tier brawlers are maybe good in a few niche situations, but most of the time they're just incredibly underwhelming. And the first one's going to be Clancy. So Clancy received a buff, but it only means he needs 2 less tokens than before to get to max level. I don't think that's enough to push him that far up the meta. I think it maybe makes him more of a viable option in Hot Zone, and that's really it. So everyone else saying that Clancy is good are just clearly lying. They're just having you on. Next is Grom. Grom, again, I've been saying since the beginning of time, Grom has been a terrible brawler, even since his hypercharge being released. Nothing has changed in the meta. He's just getting worse and worse because it's just too hard to hit shots against good players. Chuck is really good in the heist meta, but everywhere else he's pretty unusable. His hypercharge is terrible, and it takes forever to get, so what is even the point in it? Maisie's just too hard to land shots consistently in this meta, and she doesn't have the pop-off moments that she used to have. There's just far better tank counters out there that are just way more consistent and will actually make a difference in the game. Jackie, since the health buff has completely dropped off, like it is crazy. She just doesn't synergize well with pretty much anything. I just think she's far too squishy now for what she serves, and you just can't make the explosive plays you used to be able to make beforehand. Pam is next, and Pam is in a weird situation. She's good in a few situations in Hot Zone where she can be good in like Ring of Fire, dueling beetles, but most of the time there's just better choices. Primo as well. Primo used to always be like the go-to brawler in like Brawl and other situations, but now I just think there's other brawlers with hypercharges that you can just click them and you'll get a free goal. Whilst Primo, he's kind of lost that goal scoring ability, right? Because that was his whole thing, to goal score with his super, but now every brawler just seems to have a goal scoring ability. Next to M, so M seems to get small buffs every update, but it's not really pushing her in the meta whatsoever. You can only really use her on maps like Double Swoosh. Fang as well. Fang, there are some niche situations for him in like Shooting Star, more open maps against those snipers, and he's starting to get a little bit better, but it's not anything crazy pushing him up the meta. Gale received a damage buff, which I thought would have done a little bit more, but I just think, again, Gale just takes too long to get going. He's just not good enough as a tank counter, and if he's not good enough as a tank counter, he's not going to thrive in a meta because that's his whole gimmick. Surge has, like, he's unusable right now pretty much in the pro meta, maybe in a few situations like Double Swoosh, but he's just too squishy. Since that health nerf, he's just not been able to keep up with all of these aggressive brawlers. Penny is next, and again, Penny has fallen off for like 6 months now. She's just, ever since the hypercharge nerf, it just takes too long for her to make an impact inside of a game with her slow reload speed. Shelly got a buff with the fast forward gadget, which, funnily enough, actually helps her be more of a tank counter now because she gets more pieces of ammo, but I don't think it's really making an impact on her in the meta. Maybe in a few different situations you might see her crop up. Spike is next, and I think D tier, C tier is probably fair for him. I just think, again, like, there's just better options most of the time. He can make some explosive plays thanks to his fertilized star power on Heist, but I just don't think there really is many situations where you use a Spike, really. And then last one's BB. So BB received a really cool rework. At first, it seemed like she might be able to make a bit of an impact in the meta, but it's still quite clear she really lacks the range, and it's just too easy for people to feed super from her. So she just hasn't made any impact in the meta since her rework. So now we're going to be moving on to your C tier brawlers. So these C tier brawlers are more so balanced, or maybe need like a slight buff, but they can be usable in a lot of different situations. Still, C tier isn't meaning that they're terrible. And the first one is Pell. Well, actually, Pell is starting to become a little bit bad, really, because she's not being used in Knockout, she's not being used in Bounty, and there's too many brawlers that have received damage buffs, which just... why would you even use Pell right now? You just don't see her anywhere, even in competitive play, outside of double swoosh. Next up, we got Chester. So Chester used to always be at the top of the meta, but I think the hypercharge nerfs have been catching up to him. It means the biggest one was that he got a nerf to his supercharge rate from super. So that means with his hypercharge, he couldn't just throw one onto someone, get it hypercharge instantly, then throw it onto someone else and delete them. His hypercharge is still very, very strong, don't get me wrong, but it takes a long while to get, unless you're facing off against multiple tanks, you're not going to get it. And there's just better brawlers at the top of the meta like Cordelius that are just more impactful against those tanks. Next up we have Eve. So Eve can be a pretty strong pick in draft. You know, she's safe, she's not terrible. I know she's in the bottom of C tier, but then again, she doesn't really make like that big of an impact. She's just more of a brawler you pick when like Angelo's banned, or like another one of those cleanup brawlers and Heist banned or Knockout. So she can just be good for that reason. Lola is next, and even with her hypercharge, she's actually been getting worse in the meta. She used to always be this go-to brawler in draft, where you can play her in so many different modes and situations in Heist as a gem carry if needed. You literally, pros love Lola in draft, and when the pros don't play Lola, you know there's a problem, because the casuals never played Lola anyways. So yes, she's not played by the pros. Casuals, she's fallen off, sadly. Same goes with Colette as well. Colette isn't even being used in Heist right now, and I've always said with Colette, she hasn't been the best at, well, she used to always be like good at countering certain tanks, but I don't even think that's enough for her right now. She just, there's too many brawlers with stat buffs, etc., which just really play against Colette, and it's a shame because she's not even good in her one particular game mode, so maybe she's even worse than people anticipate. Nani's next, and Nani will always be pretty, at least viable in the meta, because Nani's whole thing is to counter snipers, right? You want to counter the Pipers, etc., with return to sender, and yeah, you can't really use Nani elsewhere because the pros will just make use of the really hard to hit projectile with all of these hypercharges that are just explosive. Nani it's just really hard to make work in this meta. Same goes with Meeple. Meeple received quite a few buffs, but that wasn't enough to put Meeple anywhere near the meta. There's just too many spammy brawlers like Tara, Charlie at the top of the meta, too many Lilies that are just too aggressive for Meeple. But once the hypercharge comes out with Meeple, eventually maybe bumped up a few tiers. Mo is a weird one because I used to always feel like Mo was underrated, but after trying Mo out, I just feel like it takes too long to get Mo's super, and especially the hypercharge. The hypercharge takes forever to get, so I just don't think it makes that much of an impact, but he's still kind of a half safe pick in draft, whether it's like Gem Grab, Brawl Ball, Triple Dribble. There's a few places you can play a mod. Miko's next, so Loki could be D tier actually thinking about it, but he does have his niche in Heist, but even so, I feel like you need to be a really good Miko to make it work. Like, I'm playing ranked and people do not have a clue how to play Miko in Heist. There's also quite a lot of counters now for Miko in Heist. For example, you've got RT with his hypercharge, etc. Like, it's pretty hard to make Miko work right now. People learning how to counter him. Buzz, I think Buzz is in an okay spot. If you're a good Buzz, there's just a few counters at the top of the meta where you can make him work, but he's only really used as a counter brawler. You can't pick Buzz early on in the draft. He's just not that great anymore, and people are switching star powers with him, so the extra stun star power just primarily to counter other tanks and stuff like that. Sprout as well, Loki could be a little bit lower. I only really pick him as a like super late pick in like Knockout, and even then there's probably better options, so it doesn't really counter the squishy brawlers like he used to. It feels like Max as well. Since Jae Young's came out, have you even seen Max being played? I don't think Max's standalone brawler is terrible, but then again, if you take away Max's his purpose in the meta to be a support and give your teammates lots of speed. Well, Jae-Young just does that infinitely better, and you don't even need to deal damage with Jae-Young. You just get your super automatically. So I think until they heavily nerf Jae-Young, Max will forever just be this forgotten brawler. Next, we've got Leon. So Leon received a slight buff with his proximity damage, but I don't think it really made that big of an impact. I mean, he's just okay across the board. That's probably why he's C tier. You can make him work if you're a good Leon. But yeah, that's about it. Frank has been falling down a lot, by the way. I've just been noticing he should really theoretically counter brawlers like Hit and a few other stun brawlers and just low DPS brawlers. But I just think now is a time where there's too many broken hypercharges in the game where they can just literally shoot Frank. And because their hypercharges are better, they'll just make more of an impact than Frank in the long term. So yeah, I'm not really seeing too much Frank in this meta. Mortis, I think, again, a great last pick in the meta. It all comes down to whether you have a low ping, so you can make him work with his hypercharge. So I think until they fix his hypercharge, he'll always be like this pretty good last pick because he can just counter so many different brawlers with his bats and his broken hypercharge. Dynamite is next, and again, like, he's not really that usable of a pick right now. He's only good as like a last pick, and it's just still better options out there. It's just too risky, and since the gadget rework, it's essentially killed Dynamite because he can't like spam out the gadgets in the other game. So yeah, that's him. Nita as well. Nita, I think the pros will probably value Nita as like a B tier brawler, but every time I play a Nita, I swear, like, I always hard counter the enemy Nita because just of the lack of range. And whenever I play Nita, like, I just literally can't move because, again, lack of range. There's just too many counters to her right now. But she's still like okay in like heist, a few other situations. She's got a really fast charge and hypercharge. Bo is next, so Bo receives a slight nerf to his hypercharge rate. I used to really like Bo like 4-6 months ago. I could play him everywhere, but now I'm just noticing that he's falling down again. His hypercharge is the thing that carries him, but as a standalone brawler, I just think there's better options right now. Griff as well, you could argue he's maybe low B tier, but I just don't actually see him that much in the meta. I think the main problem is, as a tank counter, it takes far too long for his hypercharge to actually charge up. It is a very good one, but I think in his normal form, like, even tanks can run him down. That's the problem with Griff, sadly. And then lastly, we've got Trunk. So with Trunk, I think if it wasn't this hypercharge bug, if you guys didn't know, with Trunk's hypercharge super, he doesn't actually recharge his super, like, at all. I think if they fix that, I think Trunk would actually be a pretty underrated brawler in the meta, maybe like high B tier. But I think for now, he's like C tier. I think the problem with Trunk is it's just too hard for him to make pop-off plays. His main attack, just the main attack having a delay. I know they tried to make him different to like Jackie and Doug, etc., but I just think it is just not needed in the game, right? It's just too clunky. It's even like in a position where it's really hard to counter brawlers like Miko and other brawlers that you should just easily counter. But he does have the pop-off moments with the super, so Trunk has potential, but not really the greatest right now. Okay, so now moving on to your B tier brawlers. So most of these are a little bit above average and are pretty solid in the meta overall. Actually, maybe with the exception of Juju here. Juju hasn't been played in monthly finals last time around, but I still think she's an okay brawler. I think she might be a little bit underrated. She's not terrible, but she's just kind of, other throwers a little bit better than her. But with the hypercharge coming out pretty soon, I think she'll be making a solid return to the meta. Melody as well. She's like in this average area around B or C, where she's already really good in heist, and still then there's just better options that, you know, she's very risky. The pros can really make Melody work out right now. Same goes with Ali as well. I think Ali is incredibly underrated, by the way. I think in gem grab and a few other situations, she is deadly. In a 1 versus 1, she's very, very good. She's nowhere near as bad as people are making out, by the way. I think she's a solid B tier brawler. Nothing better, but she definitely has that counter ability. Piper is next, so Piper can just always be a decent brawler. Like if you just tap and you want a hard carry, then Piper can be good in ranked. The pros aren't going too much Piper right now. Maybe bounty, she's okay, but it's just, it has to be a really open map, and still then you do run the risk of getting countered by the likes of Jae-Young, by the likes of Barney, by the likes of Nani. So Piper is falling down the meta a lot. Rico as well. Rico's always in this weird like balance spot for a while since his multiple launcher got heavily nerfed, and his hypercharge rate, he's like okay, again another hard carry pick in terms of ranked, but the pros don't really go a lot of Rico. It can be good on a select few maps with those choke points, but Bellsrock is about the only one that they play Rico on. And then next, Stu as well. So Stu is a weird one again. Like his hypercharge did get pretty much killed, so he just never has that, but he just doesn't have the damage to keep up with the meta as well. But that's okay, because good Stu players can still make things work. He still has some good matchups in the game right now. Tick as well. I feel like Tick is a little bit underrated since his damage buff. I think knockout and bounty, you can never really go wrong with a Tick, but again, there are a lot of aggressive options, which it makes it pretty risky to run it in ranks because you can't really carry with a Tick. 8-bit is next, so 8-bit, I feel like, again, since the damage buff is really, really nice, I think it could be a C-tier brawler because low-key before the damage buff, I think I overrated him a lot. He could have probably been like a D-tier brawler, but the damage buff feels pretty nice. I think it's just going to take a while for people to learn just how strong this damage buff is. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely putting him back in the meta, in my opinion, in Heist and in Gem Grab. Daryl is next, and forever Daryl will just be a solid option when it comes down to knockout. He's really, really good later on in the draft, even there's a few other brawlers creeping into the last pick knockout meta, because there's not really a ton of great last picks in knockout, but Daryl's always one of them because he's great counter to snipers once the gas closes in. Heist as well, he can be like an okay option in a certain few maps when there's a lot of water. Outside of that, you don't see much Daryl. Mandy is next, so Mandy again will be hit and miss because she's a high risk, high reward brawler. She's got a really good hypercharge, knockout and bounty. You can pretty much always go to Mandy, and there's some maps in Heist where she can be underrated on. The twins are next. Larry and Laurie are good and solid in draft in Brawl primarily. Like, it takes a long time for them to get their super, but they're just decent. Like, they're a thrower that can defend himself against tanks, so it just makes them a really viable option in draft. And with the hypercharge coming out pretty soon, it takes a long time to charge up, but I will probably think that the twins will be like high A tier once the hypercharge is out. Barley is next, and Barley is a solid option in like trying to think, in like Hot Zone and a few other places, but can get countered a little bit easier. So you just see as time goes on, he will slowly be going down the meta, but that's mainly because he's not receiving any buffs or anything whilst other brawlers are. Poco is next. So Poco has jumped up 2 tiers in my opinion. This all has to do with Byron and Ollie. Byron and Ollie are some of the best brawlers inside of the game, and Poco is one of the best counters. So you do see this kind of rock, paper, scissors as such in draft right now, or if it depends, because if you just see Ollie banned out, then you won't see a Poco. So once Ollie's banned out, Poco is back to the D tier. But if Ollie's in playing draft, or if you're just playing ladder, then Poco is such a great counter because you just use the protective tunes gadget, and it just means Ollie's super gadget just doesn't work whatsoever. So it's literally one of the biggest hard counters, and literally for that reason alone, because Ollie is so good. I think Poco is a B tier brawler in the meta. Meg is next. So Meg as well is, I would say, a decent counter to Ollie, mainly because if Ollie hypnotizes Meg, well, at least Meg can bounce out of her mech, and then she's no longer hypnotized. So she has this kind of second wind about her, which just makes her a really solid option. Honestly, one of the more underrated brawlers. Meg will forever be underrated in my opinion. Doug is next, and Doug's wiener is very annoying in knockout and bounty. It's so cheesy, guys. There's so many strategies that you can go with Doug, whether it's New Horizons, pretty much every map really, knockout and bounty, because you can just pair it with any sort of Grey, any sort of Janet, any sort of aggro brawler. You put the hypercharge super onto one of them, and it just team wipes. It's absolutely insane. So many cheesy strategies going on, especially late game and knockout. You just can't stop it. Willow is next. So Willow was never an A tier brawler. I don't know why people ever put Willow in the A tier. Yeah, she's got a good amount of HP, and she's pretty hard to counter, but she's only really played on like a handful of maps, so you can't really call her an A tier brawler in my opinion, but she's still a solid option, right? It's just mainly the map pool that's probably stopping her, and again, she hasn't really got any flashy plays about her, whilst other throwers and etc can make those flashier plays. She's just really good in Brawl to defend herself and score goals with. RT is next, so RT has a really broken hypercharge, but it takes forever to get. But because he just serves the niche of countering so many certain brawlers, you know, like hitting a 1 versus 1, or just overall just any type of tank, whenever there's a lot of tanks, you can just always go in RT, and a hypercharge is pretty broken. Sandy is next, so Sandy will be a decent meta option, especially in Brawl and gem grab, but it's mainly because Tara is one of the best gem grab brawlers, so you see a lot of Sandy to counter the Tara. But I think Sandy was a little bit slept on, pardon the pun, in gem grab, mainly because that super can change the game, and even against tanks you can just farm a lot of super from them and change the game your way. B is next, so B is in a weird spot where she's probably only usable really in a few Brawl maps and Hot Zone when a map is opened up. She's a good pop-off brawler. I think she's been going down and down the meta though, because Rattled Hive just takes so long. The cooldown has been heavily nerfed, but still think she's a solid option right now. Janet, again, an insanely underrated brawler in the meta right now. I'm not seeing my randoms pick Janet enough because she's one of the best gem carries for sure, and that's thanks to her jump gadget actually. This actually helps her counter some of the jump brawlers, for example Bonnie, you've got Ollie, you've got Kit, you've got Lily. If you can time that jump gadget correctly, you can save yourself a lot, and the super as well helps you save yourself in gem grab, so I think she's a really good option there. Lou is next. I'm starting to see Lou being used a lot less right now. I think it's because of the supercharge rate. It's just a little bit inconsistent, but his hypercharge is still one of the best inside of the game, and it's still a great shutdown. I just don't see him as much even in Hot Zone, so you also had a bit of a drop off to Lou. Mr. P is next, so Mr. P will forever be an annoying brawler. Even with the recent hypercharge rate nerf, he is pretty annoying in the meta. I think when it comes down to ranked, you'll see a lot more Mr. P. The pros won't go a ton of Mr. P, but he's still like annoying in bounty and knockout. Outside of that, I won't really go Mr. P, mainly because he still gets run down too easily, but in those two game modes, he's very annoying. Same goes with Squeak as well. He's a knockout and a bounty brawler. He's fantastic in so many different situations in bounty, mainly because you've got his wind-up gadget, which is like a mini Mandy super, and his slow gadget, star power actually works now, so you can cycle through supers and actually confirm kills easier, and you can shoot around walls on maps like Dry Season, maps like layer cake as well, because it's a lot of situations in bounty where they just collect blue star and then we just sit behind walls. Well, Squeak can help you just get consistent damage. Berry is next, so Berry is one of the best brawlers in a few heist maps like Hot Potato, and then he's really good in Hot Zone. Outside of that, not really picked too often, but a good Berry player can always cycle super a lot and make a lot of game-changing plays thanks to his healing trait. Bull is next. Bull's dropped a tier mainly because there's just some better options right now in the meta, but he's still really good on those bushier maps. In a 1v1, it's just nearly impossible to stop a Bull that's just going to stomp on you, stun you, and just delete you instantly, so he's still a really good option right now. Finks is next, and Finks could be like low A tier as well, but I think the hypercharge still takes a little bit too long to charge up, to be honest. 3 supers is quite a lot, but the hypercharge is pretty decent. It's not anything game breaking, but overall he's just an ultra consistent brawler, whether it's a more open map or whether it's Hot Zone, one of the best brawlers there. And then lastly, Brock. I think Brock never gets the credit that he deserves. He's one of the best options right now, knockout and bounty, mainly because he just serves a great purpose in the sense like you can either choose to build that breaks open the map, which can counter throwers and just other cheesy compositions, or you can switch over to the jump gadget, which helps defend yourself against the Lily supers, you know, the Ollies, the Bonnie jumps, the Kit jumps, etc. So he's really versatile right now, and I really like Brock in the meta. So now moving on to your A-tier brawlers. So these are much better than a lot of brawlers in the meta, of course, being A-tier, but they are super strong in a lot of different situations. And our first one is being Shade. So Shade, he will be good in niche situations in terms of maps, but if it's the right map, he will absolutely hard carry. His hypercharge takes 2.5 supers to get, and it's one of the best inside of the game, and it's pretty much unstoppable. You cannot stop it. It's insane. Next up is Otis. So Otis received a hefty damage buff and a health buff, and I think it's definitely put him towards the top of the meta. Maybe low A tier is being nice, but at least high B tier. He's definitely back in the meta. You've got to try him out. Next is Ash. So Ash, he's more of a pro pick because you don't really even see him in ranked too often, but he's just a great meta pick in terms of countering a lot of the top tanks in the meta. So for example, he's great into a Draco, he's great into a Hank, he's good into a Kenji, so for that reason, he will always be good as long as those brawlers are pretty good. Next, we've got Buster. So Buster, he was falling down to the B tier a little bit, but because of Ollie, he's one of the best counters to Ollie, and also like the Bonnie hypercharge as well, because of that star power. The star power makes it so any stun cannot get you when your super is active, so for that reason, Ollie cannot hypnotize you, and that's one of the reasons why why Buster has returned a little bit to the meta. Next we've got Gene. So Gene is just always stuck in the low A tier because he's probably the best pick in bounty and knockout, because there's hardly any counters to him. His pull should be pretty easy to hit in most situations, and because of his vision gear always been really good on him, he's just a solid option. Tara is next, and Tara is the best gem grab brawler right now. She's absolutely insane. It takes 2 supers to get a hypercharge, and a hypercharge is completely broken. And you know when Tara's one of the best brawlers in the game is when you start to see her in other situations. You've seen her in Hot Zone, you've seen her in Heist, a lot in Hot Potato and Kaboom Canyon, because you can just spam out your support from Beyond Gadget. Your pet's just so good at tanking, and the hype charge is so fast charging, and one of the best counters to a lot of the aggressive brawlers right now. Next up, we've got Belle. So Belle, forever a low A tier brawler. She's just a safe pair of hands, as always. She's just consistently good in a lot of different situations. And she's also good at countering a few other top meta brawlers like Jae Young, like Gene, because it stops people from grouping up. And again, you can just never go wrong with a Belle. And next up, we've got Gray. So Gray is just always stuck in the A tier because he's a fantastic option with having unlimited walking canes. He's really good in knockout and bounty. And now, thanks to the cheesy Doug strategy going on, he's actually found a bit more of a place in the meta. Again, Angelo is just always super consistent, right? It's always usable in pretty much all of the water-based maps. Knockout, bounty, best places for him, and also Heist as well. I'll put Ziggy on here. I haven't got any gameplay with him, but yeah, I just wanted to put Ziggy in A tier. I'm not really testing him out too much, but I think he will be pretty strong. Draco is next. So Draco, his hype charge is still absolutely busted and can just team wipe. It's just insane. Although it takes a long time to get his hypercharge, it's still just a team wipe button. It's crazy, and he's still got a really strong gadget, being able to stay alive for 2 seconds. He's the best hot zone brawler, really good in gem grab. He can completely take over. Next up, we've got Ruffs. So I might be overrating Ruffs a little bit, but he's going to easily minimum be a low B tier brawler. Their projectile speed buff was crazy. I called it straight away. As soon as I tried him out, I knew he'd be absolutely insane. Projectile speed buffs really do go a long way. You've got to think of Penny in the past, for example. There's probably a few more as well that you can think of, but Penny's a big one where projectile speed buff, it put her quite high in the meta some time ago. Same goes with Ruff, so you can just get more consistent damage. More consistent damage means more supers. You can break open the map more, and yeah, he's a really good option in Brawl, gem grab, hot zone right now. Kenji's next, and Kenji forever going to be an A tier brawler until they fix his broken hypercharge. It takes a little while to charge up, but it's completely busted. You cannot counter it. It's just the same old with it, really boring. But yeah, he's a really good option right now. Hank as well. Hank has definitely dropped down from the S tier. You know, it's not really being played nowhere near as much as he used to, but I still find him to be a really annoying brawler to counter because he can just get so much pressure with his barricade gadgets and his hypercharge being pretty fast. He deals so much damage for a wall. Hank is Hank. He's still insane. Amber is next. Amber, again, super consistent brawler in terms of damage department. You can pretty much go Amber everywhere and know that you're going to be able to do something on the map because she's really versatile, got good range, super easy to connect, and the hypercharge is really strong. Again, will guarantee team wipes. Carla's next, and I really just love Carla in the meta because you can go in with so many situations, whether it's bounty. He's one of the best bounty brawlers because you can flying hook to the blue star and get pressure like that, and he also pairs really well with Doug in knockout and bounty. You've got him in Heist as well. He's just a really solid option thanks to his flying hook. He's just it's just like really good in pretty much every game mode. That's why I really like him. Crow, fallen down from the S tier, but he's still one of the brawlers that you can always just pick. He's good into most things. He's a really hard kill as well. His shield gadget helps him stay alive in so many different situations, and yeah, for that reason he's really solid, and he's still usable in Heist as well. Gus is next, and yeah, Gus is just the easiest brawler to play in terms of just hitting shots. He's got such a wide projectile, which makes him forever good. His hyper charge as well helps him defend against aggro brawlers. You can play Gus in gem grab, one of the best gem carriers for that reason, defended himself, and knockout bounty, a really good option. Lily got a recent nerf to hypercharge projectile speed, but it's not going to put her out of the meta. She's still completely busted, and yeah, the hypercharge is a big reason, but it's also the vanish gadget. She's just completely broken for that reason. She can make so many plays with pretty much zero counterplay, especially the hypercharge. Like, you hypercharge onto anyone in gem grab, especially gem carrier, you're just going to get killed. There's no way that the opponents can kill you when you're in the shadow realm against them. And lastly, we have Charlie. So we're starting to see a little bit more counters to her in the meta right now, but she's still, again, like a solid option. You can never really go wrong with going Charlie. She's always going to get consistent damage. Her Spider's gadget can still help defend herself. Her super is always going to be game changing, and she's versatile. You can play her as a mid in gem grab, as a lane. You can play her as a defensive brawler in heist. She's just solid all around and one of the best brawlers in the game still. So now we're going to be moving on to your S tier brawlers. So these brawlers are the best of the best. You can play them in pretty much every single game mode and they will pop off. They will hard carry, whether it's a hypercharge or just whether they're fundamentally broken. So first off, we've got Jae Young. So Jae Young is just so annoying to face off against. The constant speed buffs, the constant just versatility, constantly getting your super for free. The hypercharge is coming out soon as well, which is going to make him even better, but it's just such a hard kill because of the constant speed. And then when you get people really low, you can switch to his health mode. And then if you get close to Jae Young, he can just pop his damage gadget and burst you down so quickly. Yeah, he's so incredibly strong, guys. Easily one of the best right now. Next up, we got Byron. So Byron, he has definitely returned to the meta. He was before like a beta option, but now because of his hypercharge that came out, I think people are going to quickly realize just how busted Byron is. His hypercharge, it isn't anything game breaking, but it is pretty good. I think people will learn how to use it effectively, and you can cycle through to a couple of hypercharge supers in a row and just get a crap ton of damage. And it's the fact that, again, Byron, he's such an easy brawler to hit shots with. It just makes him more of an aggressive brawler, even though he's a support brawler, which is fantastic. Next up, we've got Lumi. So Lumi, even though the casuals seem to think that Lumi isn't the best and her stats even in ranked aren't completely the best, but the pros, she's just always going to be a solid brawler because she offers such good control, and you can play Lumi into a lot of different things. She's so versatile. Her gadget's still pretty broken. She racks up a ton of damage because of the coolback damage that it gets when you call back their axes. So for that reason, she'll always be a solid brawler. Kaze is next. So Kaze, it's a really good option in the meta thanks to her invisibility gadget. She can just pop invisible whenever she wants, really, and just deal a lot of damage when close to people in ninja form. But it's all about the ninja super. The ninja super is just so easy to charge up, and it's just game breaking in the sense that you can just dash up so quickly, just get into the action, just rip through those low DPS brawlers. And then a hyper charge on top of that is really insane as well. In her geisha form, in the fan form, she's just really good at just making pressure. Unlimited ammo, basically. Yeah, she's just good everywhere. Kaze, you can pretty much go her in so many different situations. Next up, we've got Kit. So Kit is Kit. Kit is just broken ever since the hypercharge got released. Probably the best hypercharge in the game, if not one of the best. But it's a little bit harder to get. But once you get it now, it's even better than before, because now the hypercharge super actually deals damage. So that means now when you jump onto somebody, I think you hit them twice or 3 times, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it just means it takes one less hit to charge your next super. So that means by the time the hypercharge is about to expire, you can use another hypercharge super. So it means you can get multiple people a lot easier now with one hypercharge super, making it even more broken. And it's Kit invisibility gadget. You can play Kit everywhere right now. Completely broken. Next up, we got Cordelius. So Cordelius is the 4th best brawler in the meta, and that is because he deals so much damage. You cannot get anywhere close to Cordelius, or else you'll just be dead. No matter what brawler you are, he'll just completely and utterly delete you. And with the thing about Cordelius, you can switch your build out to whatever you want. Whether you want jump gadget to counter certain brawlers or jump over walls, whether you want the mute gadget to even harder counter those close range brawlers. Yeah, he just rips through everything, and you just can't stop it. A good Cordelius player will torment you. Next up, we got Ollie. So Ollie recently received his hypercharge, and even though it takes 3.3 supers to charge up, it's completely and utterly broken. It is broken. It's not as broken as other hypercharges in the past, right? Like Kenji's was better, but it doesn't remove the fact that it's completely busted. If you play ladder and there's no Poco on the enemy team, like, you can just run through them so easily. It's completely busted. You cannot stop it. There's no counterplay. I don't know why they released a hypercharge like this. I honestly don't get who tested this hypercharge out, because why does it do so many things? It's a hypercharge that can jump over walls, has a much bigger radius, it doesn't even consume your ammo anymore. It's just unstoppable. Like, where is the fun in an uncountable hypercharge, pretty much? Yeah, there's a few mechanics like Poco, with the reason why Poco's became somewhat viable is because of his protective tunes that can counter Ollie. There's Buster, there's a few other brawlers, but there just doesn't need to be this strong of a hypercharge in the game. It's just boring. And what they'll do is they'll just nerf the hypercharge rate, and then he'll just become this, again, this brawler that's just decent, and then gets hypercharge and will still team wipe eventually, but yeah, Ollie right now is definitely one of the best brawlers inside of the game, and he's only topped by 2 other brawlers, which number 2 is going to be Bonnie. So Bonnie right now in the meta is so incredibly strong. Bonnie is just, where can you not go Bonnie? It's the fact that I think the one thing that might actually need to nerf is now it takes 3 shots to get super. I mean, it's been buffed for a while, but it just means that you can hardly ever close down Bonnie, because by the time that you've got close to her, she'll just have another super and she can just jump on to whatever matchup she really wants to. And then of course the one thing that is completely the reason why she's one of the best brawlers in the game is because of her hypercharge. Her hypercharge is completely done broken. The stun is just way too strong, because once you jump on someone you stun them, and because Bonnie deals a lot of damage up close with the damage stat buffs as well, no one can really do anything. There's basically hardly any brawlers that have any counterplay to Bonnie, which is just crazy. So she's just the best brawler in the game, if you're not including the new brawler that's being released pretty soon, which is Mina. So I think Mina will be the best brawler in the game, and if she's not the best brawler in the game, she'll 1,000,000% be S-tier. Like, there's just no debates whatsoever about Mina. It's just, there's so many crazy broken things about her. One of the broken things about her is her gadgets, the one that automatically charges your super back. So you can throw out a tornado, push people in the air, and then you get another super to go with as well. So you're just constantly like throwing people in the air, and then her combination can deal so much damage. I think it's around like 10k, but then you've got built-in dash on top of that, and then you've got the healing star power, which just makes it, the 1v1 interactions with Mina are about to be disgusting. Let me tell you guys, completely not utterly broken. I'm scared of facing off against her, at least in ranks. There will be some counterplay because she is that type of brawler, which, you know, there's certain counters, but if you're just going to play her in ladder, it's just going to be a miserable experience. We'll play against her in ladder. It's going to be miserable because there's just so many different things she can do on the map. So that's going to be it for today's tier list, guys. Here you can see it on the screen right here. So a little bit of a different format, mainly because I'm trying to push towards pro rank right now, and normally tier list would literally take like 24 hours to do if you literally got gameplay of every single brawler, cut that all up. Yeah, it takes a very long time, and with there being nearly 100 brawlers in the game, I don't think tier lists need to be that long in length anymore. So maybe let me know whether you want me to do a different type of format, but I don't think I'll ever really be going back to getting gameplay with every singular brawler, just because I know it's easier to follow, but it doesn't make sense to waffle about that many brawlers. Not that many people will watch a full hour video about the meta. I mean, maybe you will. You'll have to let me know. Anyways, that's going to be it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm just hoping hypercharges get heavily nerfed whenever they can in terms of mechanically, because hypercharge brawlers are running the meta. You take a look at Bonnie, Ollie, I mean, not Cordelia's Kit. You think of Byron. There's just so many broken hypercharges right now. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.